I was tagged in this post in the dating over 50 subreddit. She says, not sure where I stand with this man. Now, a lot of times I am talking to the young ladies, the 20 somethings, but sometimes our aunties and our grannies need to understand where some of these men are coming from. They might not understand these red flags because this is a new breed of pest that want to nest and rest. They might not be inoculated for this new set of parasites. She says, I've been in a relationship with this man for almost a year now. We met through a mutual friend and really hit it off, talking every day, going out every weekend. He eventually started staying over and has been now for the past several months. Sounds perfect, right? Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's my high anxiety and insecurities in relationships flaring up. Maybe it's my overthinking and concluding the worst. Or maybe I'm right in feeling he's losing interest. One thing I really love about this guy is his consistency and truthfulness. He hasn't actually done anything to make me doubt his loyalty. It's it's mostly what he doesn't do. Listen to this, y'all. What he doesn't do, and that's basically everything except go to work and off road riding nearly every weekend. So all he does is go to work and then ride his bike or whatever off road. He does nothing to help around the house, but will when asked sometimes, eventually. But if I'm capable, I usually end up doing it. X is basic, but okay when we have it like 2 to 3 times a month, very vanilla. Tells me his thing don't work like it used to. I've never been with a man that didn't want X regularly. By the way, I'm 53 and he's 48, and I feel super rejected. He's supposed to go to the doctor about this soon. Also, whenever I try to have discussions with him about where we stand as a couple, he thinks I'm starting an argument and completely shuts down. So I just quit trying, which I know is not healthy because I feel my anxiety building. I just don't know what to think. This man has found a nice host to burrow in, and he doesn't even have to do much. He does not have to do much except go to work. Like literally, he gets to go to work and then he gets to go off road riding, whatever he's riding off the road, I don't know. That sounds like the perfect setup. And then she starts trying to talk to him about where this relationship is going or whatever. And all he has to do is like act like he has an attitude. This man has the perfect setup. But what we have right here is a case of a pest that wants to nest and rest. In the comments, she says that he has his own place, but hers is probably more comfy than his. She probably has the good snacks. She probably has some nice throw pillows on the couch versus his threadbare home. Who knows? She probably cleans up much better because he's not cleaning up at all over to her house. So he doesn't even have to worry about that because she does it. These people get so much out of being in our spaces, and he knows that. That's the reason why he is burrowing into her sofa, regardless of if he has his own home or not. So, Complete Stress is the one that tagged me. She says, it sounds to me like he expects you to treat him like his daughter does. She knows that he has a daughter because it's in the comments. Waiting on him hand and foot. It also sounds like he's integrated himself into your life and is staying rent free, paying an occasional bill. Does he use more of your resources, time, and peace of mind than he provides? He's not living with his daughter and sister in a place he owns or rents. That is sus. Sounds like he's become a pest who wants to nest and rest. Hat tip to BurbNBougie. He's not going to change. It's up to you whether to put up with this or not. Is this disturbing your peace? Maybe it's time to take stock of how you really feel about him. I'm guessing you're becoming resentful that he's not doing any housework and is just using your house and body to meet his needs and running off on the weekends without you if you can't make it also. It tells me he puts priority of his rides over you. Good luck with what you decide to do. And at the bottom, that this is me. I'm BurbNBougie everywhere. I said he's definitely burrowing into her couch. He's getting much more out of this than she is. He doesn't have to do much. He's not putting in any energy, time, or resources because he doesn't have to. She's not making him. So of course he's gonna stay with this setup. He is winning. Canuck Ginger says, in other words, he's living at your place and not contributing anything. You rarely have X, and he spends his weekends playing with his buddies. And the OP says, basically, but the weekend rides I go on as well. But if he's made plans to go and I end up not being able to, he would definitely not cancel on them. He will get food for us and pay a bill here and there. Also pays his adult child and grandchild's bills and rent. Okay, so she said he will get us food and pay a bill here and there. Oh, he got it good. UB says he needed a place to live. Beautiful says bingo. This OP says he still has a place to go if he wanted, but he doesn't want to go. Why would he go when you're going to cook and clean for him? And that's what UB says. Why would he want to? You pay the bills and keep house. And the OP says true, but he still pays the bills there, and his daughter and sister keep the house while he was there. Deadpan McNope says, do you want him to live with you? Clearly, he has other enabling women he can glom onto. glom onto. Let him ooze apathy all over their stuff. His companionship doesn't have to come at your expense. The OP says, yes, I want him to live with me. Just want him to be more engaged in life in general. It's like we've been together for 30 years. The way we interact, it should still be new and exciting for us. She's really trying to revive this, and it doesn't sound like it's going to. SJ Mantic says there's no fixing that. He's treating you how he wants to and knows exactly what he can get away with. Astral Atheist says he's using you. His refusal to discuss relationship status feels to me like he will use the excuse of never being official when he finds someone he actually likes putting in effort for. The amount of effort he's putting into this relationship should be your wake-up call as to how he feels about it. I'm going to end with this screenshot. Dramatic Arugula says, do you want him as he is, or do you want him to be different? If he were different, it would be different. He is as he is. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't realize he's using you. Okay. But even if he saw and admitted that, would he change? Now, this person that I circle, he says, reminds me of the joke. If I had some bread, I'd have a ham sandwich if I had some ham. His sole quality is he's there. Let's read that again. This reminds me of the joke. If I had some bread, I'd have a ham sandwich if I had some ham. So she doesn't have the bread or the ham, so that's why she has nothing. Whew, y'all, keep in mind that these people will do what they need to do to burrow into your home. You are the resource. You make the home comfy. You make it livable. You cook, you clean. Don't let people just come in there and burrow into your couch. All right, jump in the conversation. Let me know what you think. No more pests that need to nest and rest. Don't just let them in. This woman doesn't sound like she's ready to give up on this person, but let this be a cautionary tale and make sure that this is not you. Okay, so I was tagged in this post in the relationship advice subreddit. This dude just wasted nearly a decade of this woman's life because he's not really attracted to his girlfriend. He says, I, 30-year-old male, have never truly been attracted to my girlfriend's body. She's 28. I love her mind, but the lack of actual tension is beginning to take a toll on our 8-year relationship. What can I do to save it? Just break up with her. Let her go. Just break up with her. All right. Before I met her, I only dated what my friends have referred to as blonde bimbos based on looks. It never ended well, as we never matched intellectually or had any interest in common. In order to give myself the chance of finding someone worth keeping, I forced myself to ignore the outside and only focus on the inside. That is when I met my current girlfriend. She is smart. We share basically all interests and hobbies. I love her family. She gets on great with my friends, and some of the girlfriends have even started their own girls club together so we can hang out without being they can hang out without being reliant on guys. I was hoping that my toxic view of women would change and that over time I would learn to find her body even half as beautiful as I find her mind, but it hasn't. She is the biggest person I have ever dated. She is a head lower than me, but weighs a decent amount more. Absolutely not my usual type. I am fit, work out 5 days a week, and love the mountains and hiking. She has never been petite, but have been a weightlifter before, so she is strong as a bull. We have gone on many wonderful hikes, but are limited to less demanding treks due to her size. For the first 2 years, we had X about 4 to 6 times a week. Everything was wonderful. I didn't mind that her body was not the prettiest because I was so in love with her mind, and I was always thinking and hoping that one day I would wake up and love her body, but I don't. Now, the past 4 years, we have X maybe once every 3 months. If I had said yes every time she initiated, it would be about 3 to 5 times a week. Still, it crushes my heart that I feel so superficial and that I'm doing this to her, but I always keep on thinking that one day it'll be different. Now, almost 8 years in, I'm lost, and my mood has changed the last year, and I'm starting to think that I will never get rid of my stupid preferences of a lean, fit body. Please leave this woman alone. We have talked about our lack of intimacy many times and tried a lot of different stuff to try to gain back that spark, but it has always bounced back to the same old thing within 2 weeks. I have never told her what I think about her body. That would crush her self-esteem, I think. She is already a bit insecure that she is strong with a layer of fat on top and not lean like skinny petite. Okay. We have never ever had a real fight. I do not think either of us have gone to bed angry at the other person. Her family is the best in the world. So why can't I get my dumb mind to accept her as her? And I love her for the beautiful person she is. She has said she will marry me the second I ask. Even her parents have begun to ask me when I will ask her, but I don't want to marry her until I can figure out my issues. I have not been able to get my mind to it. I'm at a total loss as to what I can do to save this. Is it savable? I do not want to get a divorce in a few years because I still cannot change my view. Do you have any tips to help me see her true beauty? Please just leave this woman alone. I keep saying it. There's no fixing this. You haven't fixed it in 8 years and you think she's such a beautiful person on the inside. Just if you believe that she's a beautiful person on the inside, just let her go and let her find the person that she's truly meant to be with that appreciates her inside and out. Leave her alone. And that's what the first person says. Just effing break up. Imagine if you found out your partner of 8 years had never been attracted to you. That's terrible. I'm so here says 8 years completely wasted for that poor girl. Kismet Rising says they act like it's the hardest thing to do. Truth is, he doesn't want to risk being as uncomfortable or hurt as he's made this poor girl feel over the past decade. Doesn't want the guilt from confronting how much of an a-hole he's been. Tiger Lily Kitty says, remind me of my ex. He broke up with me over text and promptly blocked me everywhere because, to quote his breakup text, he couldn't bear to see how I would respond. You mean you want to hide from the consequences of your actions, those consequences being my hurt. Kismet Rising says, what a ginormous dry booger of a man. Congratulations on your freedom. CPP Cat says, yeah, it's easier for her to string her along with the thoughts of marriage. It's too hard to tell her the truth. They might get in a fight and never have fought before. It'll break his lucky streak. Sarcasm. The emotional immaturity is through the roof. He's already telling us that he doesn't want to deal with her valid feelings and prefers to just waste even more of her time. And that's the way I feel about it. It's just disheartening to read this type of stuff. It's just terrible. Anyways, you guys go ahead, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So this post will have sensitive subjects. It's going to have termination of pregnancy. It's going to have grape. This is a triggering topic. So if you are not prepared for that, just please scroll away. She says, is violence against women morally permissible as long as we don't unalive? So keep in mind, this is a debating subreddit. She says, I have been meaning to ask this question for a while, and this is based on this conversation with a pro-lifer who thinks it's perfectly fine to do whatever he wants to women because the harm caused is transitory. I'll come back to that part. Pro-lifers often argue that it's fine to force women to give birth because most women don't die from it and the harm of birth is not permanent. You'll heal, they insist. Leaving aside that women's bodies are changed irrevocably by pregnancy and sometimes things that go wrong don't heal. Sometimes we do expire from childbirth regardless of if life exceptions exist. Why does the fact that we'll heal from something make that thing okay to do to us? Most women don't expire from grape, and yet we generally don't find it okay to grape people. In fact, it's illegal. It's also illegal to assault women more generally. Does that baffle you, pro lifers? Like, does it surprise you every time someone gets arrested for assaulting women that she didn't expire? Is it really okay, morally speaking, to do anything you want to a woman as long as she doesn't expire, as long as the wounds heal? Is it okay to torture women? Does it baffle you that rape is illegal even when the victim doesn't expire? Does this track for men as well, or is it just women? To back up my claims, there are some examples of men arrested for rape and even attempted rape. Trigger warning, some pretty heinous stuff if you read the articles. Notice the victim didn't expire and they were still arrested. That would have been a whole crime, a whole other crime. Smurder. Smurder. All right. So she goes on to list a bunch of articles. I did not click into the links. So then she asks some more questions. Does this confuse you that the victim doesn't expire, yet we still consider these crimes? Does it confuse you that these are crimes other than murder that have women as victims? Maybe this is one of those instances where it's illegal but not immoral to rape and assault women as long as we don't expire. Kind of like it's illegal but not immoral to run a stoplight. Thoughts? uh this person is clearly antagonized by some man who thinks that you don't die, whatever, you gonna heal. And clearly this person, whoever she's talking to, is talking out the side of their neck. Let's look at what that person said to her. Decidedly cynical says harm and suffering, and put that in quotation marks. Harm and suffering during labor is transitory and very, very rarely fatal. Death during childbirth is almost unheard of in the US. Termination is the intentional and 100% lethal use of force directed upon a child, and for the most part, simply because the child isn't wanted. Another man talking about childbirth as if he has firsthand experience, as if he has lived experience about what women go through, what our bodies go through, how it changes, how it never gets quite right. He just knows, like he really is up and up on the maternal mortality rate, how it impacts poor people, how these labor and delivery offices or hospitals are closing down, how women are being forced to almost death in some of these states. He's acting like he knows some things. And that's one of the things that this is one of the reasons why I don't debate these people, because they are very light on knowledge and their ideas are not going to change. We just have to understand where they are, and please just get out and vote and don't pay attention to these people at all. Yeah. Okay, Watermelon Warlock says, plenty of things are not fatal, but we still have to endure them to save the lives of others. So, citing the transitory nature of pregnancy and labor and their low fatality rate is not the end of the discussion. Suddenly, Raven is honed in on this part. Several users have accused me of not caring about grape victims. That's simply not the case. That must have been a comment that I didn't see. But they said, of course it's the case, decidedly cynical. How on earth does mindlessly repeating rape is a heinous crime that should be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law evidence your care for rape victims, especially in light of your feverish desire to force them to carry rape pregnancies to term? Please know and understand that we don't care about these people and their need to make people carry rape pregnancies to term, because where we can, we are going to continue to advocate for women to be able to do what they want with their bodies. And if they were impregnated forcibly, they should have the right to unpregnate themselves. Repeating platitudes doesn't indicate that you care. Platitudes are not care. It does not do us any good. It does not negate the harm you and your ilk cause by deliberately working to force grape victims to carry their grapist babies to term. You are just as bad as that grapist because you, like the rapist, are taking away the victim's bodily autonomy and forcing her to endure unwanted bodily invasion, use, and harm against her will. That you are taking away the victim's bodily autonomy and forcing her to endure unwanted bodily invasion, use, and harm against her will is an incontrovertible fact. Beating someone while pronouncing that beating people is bad does not amount to caring about that person you are beating. Suddenly, Raven is honed in on this part. Is it really okay, morally speaking, to do anything you want to a woman as long as she doesn't die, as long as the wounds heal? Is it okay to torture women? Does it baffle you that rape is illegal even when the victim doesn't die? Suddenly, Raven says, I have been asking this question for a while now and have never gotten an answer. I know why I've never gotten an answer because they know that it's not actually acceptable to hurt someone so long as you don't unalive them. You'd have to be mentally impaired to disagree with this. So they're left with two options. One, say yes, you can do anything to anything you want to a woman so long as she doesn't expire, which means articulating a position they know contradicts our widely shared ethics and law for that matter. Number two, misframe the issue. Or number three, choose from a menu of deflections. The fetus is innocent. They typically choose option number two. Decidedly cynical chose this tactic and asked whether labor was worse than death. Oh. And it appears he believes that if we agree that death is worse than labor, termination can be deemed immoral and illegal. These people are exhausting. This is, like I said, this is one of the reasons why I don't actually go back and forth with his kind. I just don't. It is silly. The question is irrelevant to a debate on the legality of termination. I think is irrelevant to the topic of morality too. But I'm less interested in discussing morality with people who struggle as much as pro-lifers do with objective facts and logic. This sort of simple-minded utilitarian calculus is not the basis of our laws. We don't simply ask whether event A is better or worse than event B and legislate accordingly. Pro-lifers erroneously believe they have some sort of authority to weigh the death of a fetus against the harms of unwanted pregnancy and decide which is worse and legislate rights and interests accordingly. That's exactly what they're doing. They weigh the fetus and the fetus's rights higher than women's rights. And we're not going to stand for that. We're going to keep hammering this issue. We want women to have full autonomy, and women get to have more autonomy than a fetus. That's where we stand with things. That's where pro choice people are. Anyways, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I was tagged in this post and I figured it would make the perfect palate cleanser. Lisa says, a couple of years ago, my husband and I were playing some kind of silly couples trivia game. And he asked me for my favorite food in the world. My answer was chicken cutlets. No fancy sauce necessary, just a really thin, crispy cutlet fried in olive oil. It's delicious to me. He asked why I didn't make them more often if I loved them so much. I said it was because breading and frying is one of the parts of cooking I hate. It's messy, it takes forever. I just don't like it. So he asked me to teach him. He practiced until his cutlets were perfect. It took time. Some were too thick, others were too salty. His oil was too cold, too hot. There were lots of flops. Eventually, he figured out on his own. He figured out his own perfect system. And now there is no cutlet on earth more delicious than his. Every once in a while, when I'm overwhelmed or the kids have needed me a little extra that day, or I'm just having a tough time, He gets out the flour, eggs, and bread crumbs, and he painstakingly trims, slices, and pounds the chicken. He makes me the most delicious cutlets with a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. Sometimes love is a diamond ring, a wedding, a passionate kiss. Sometimes love is a shared struggle, an unlikely victory, an unconditional partnership. And sometimes love is a chicken cutlet. And this is the picture that she shared. Now, it says right here, credit original owner. I'm not sure who the original owner of this post is, but I figured it was a touching palate cleanser that someone had a husband that was so deeply in love that he learned how to make chicken cutlets. All right, hopefully that is a palate cleanser after all of those Reddit threads. Jump in the conversation, let me know. Do you have anyone that has done something like this to you as far as learning how to cook or really learning what really touches you? Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.